Cyberpunk 2077 is one of the most anticipated games of the year for many people. I'm one of those people who's really excited about this title. I want to talk, though, in this segment of the show about everything that we know now about this game as we're getting closer and closer, guys, to that release date. So let's talk about it. In an article written by Steven Mesner and Tyler Wilde of PC Gamer, of course, Cyberpunk 2077, the release date, trailers, everything else that we know. Cyberpunk 2077 is the next RPG from CD Projekt Red, and it will be both extremely similar and extremely different from our much-loved The Witcher 3. Unlike The Witcher, Cyberpunk 2077 is a futuristic world full of tech in a huge urban hub. Cyberpunk 2077 looks to be a massive game in which you can drive around in and outside of the city and call your car like Roach in The Witcher 3, explore buildings, and hack, shoot, or negotiate your way through a main story involving Keanu Reeves, who plays a dead rock star Johnny Silverhand. Originally, Cyberpunk was supposed to have released by now, but CD Projekt Red delayed it back in January, and then again more recently. Cyberpunk 2077 is now scheduled for a November launch. In the meantime, we've dug through what feels like a decade of announcements, interviews, and demos to bring you all the important details. Cyberpunk 2077's release date is November 19th, 2020. So guys, obviously you got to take these dates with a pinch of salt, right? Obviously, I don't think they're going to change it at this point. I hope not. I don't believe they're going to change the release date again, but you just, with the ever-changing landscape of what the current state of the world, you got to kind of take it with a pinch of salt. There's a possibility it could get pushed back even further because of marketing, because of, whatever the case might be. But think of November 19th as, it's coming up, right? And it's going to be available on PC, PS4, and Xbox One. Now, on PC, it'll be on Steam and GOG and will release on Google Stadia at some point as well. Now, it was originally going to be released on April 16th, but CD Projekt Red announced in January that it needed more time to finish playtesting, fixing, and polishing. So, you know what? When you delay these games, I think, personally, I've stated this a lot, guys, on the channel, that when developers, I feel like they shouldn't give you a release date until they actually, fully know that they're going to be able to meet that deadline or that release date. Just wait until, don't get our hopes up and then you end up delaying it. This happens way too much in the gaming industry. It's happened recently because of the pandemic in the film industry as well, but that's because of a once-in-a-100-year pandemic, guys. I mean, that's why they're doing this. Now, there's delays at times with movies, but it's nothing like gaming. Video games, guys, get delayed so much, especially the big AAA titles. It's wild. And that really needs to be looked at and something that I think that people have to be held more accountable as far as developers and such. They try, you can kind of keep those dates in your own mind as we're trying to hit it on this at this point. But if things change or something, you don't have to even state when it's going to be released. Give it a year. Don't, give us a year of when it's releasing. Don't give us a specific date unless you're definitely going to hit that date. What is Cyberpunk 2077? So an open world sci-fi RPG from the creators of The Witcher 3. Can you create a character? Yep, it's similar to the Mass Effect series in that respect. What's the combat like? It looks like there are lots of conflict resolution options, talking, hacking, sneaking, but Cyberpunk 2077 is at least in part a first-person shooter. Can you do a non-lethal run? Yes, this wasn't always true, but after feedback in 2018, CD Projekt Red gave pretty much every gun a non-lethal setting. Who is Keanu Reeves' character? Reeves is playing Johnny Silverhand, a well-known character from the original 1988 Cyberpunk tabletop game. Okay, we got gameplay, guys, of course. You guys can check out all of that stuff. As part of the unveiling of NVIDIA's new 30 series video cards, the company showed off a brief glimpse of Cyberpunk 2077 running with all the bells and whistles. With ray tracing, DLSS, and a bunch of other settings cranked up, it's going to look very good, and I 100% agree with that. It absolutely looks awesome. During the second Night City Wire, CD Projekt Red showed off a new Life Paths trailer that further introduces the 3 origin stories you can choose for V. They also showed a weapons trailer that details the 3 gun types and some of the melee weapons available. And I gotta say, guys, that what they've been showing us is pretty awesome. I cannot wait to get my hands on this game, just from the graphical perspective, from what looks to be a full package, from, you know, the single player story to the multiplayer, to all of those things. It looks like they are, obviously multiplayer is not going to be available right at launch, but over time, I mean, this could be something really special. Also, guys, of course, demos have come out. What kinds of weapons will you have? Guys, there are power weapons, tech weapons, smart weapons, melee weapons, cyberware. I mean, just so much, guys, so much. Now, as far as the character creation, during the 2018 demo, we got a quick peek of the character creation screen. You can customize hair, tattoos, and clothing. It doesn't look like you can change your character's bone structure, though. No deep menu of facial feature sliders here, unless that's changed over the past couple years. The recent hands-on previews unveil more skin, hair, eye, ear, scar, and tattoo options, plus multiple, you know, we're not going to go there, but a lot of different types of, you know, ways in which you can customize your character. Absolutely awesome. Also, guys, this is kind of interesting. Will there be romance? As much romance as you can find in a Cyberpunk future, yes. Like in The Witcher 3, you'll be able to pursue romance as V. Because Cyberpunk includes character creation, these romance options will be more diverse than they were in the Witcher series. I think a lot of people are going to have fun with that, guys. How does dialogue work? This is interesting. So the dialogue, guys, while we're not 100% certain, all dialogue appears to happen in real time. You can continue moving and looking around, but when you focus the camera back on the character you're speaking to, dialogue options appear on screen. There were usually 3 or 4 options at any time in the demo we first saw. So that should be really interesting as well. What does Night City look and feel like, and how do you get around? Cyberpunk 2077 takes place in, of course, the year 2077, which you probably didn't need us to tell you, and it's set within Night City, a fictional city between San Francisco and LA that already exists in the Cyberpunk pen and paper RPG created by Mike Pondsmith. Punks and corporate stooges of all varieties wander these foggy, once mobbed-ruled streets, and by 2023, corporations are openly warring for them. Cyberpunk 2077 will show us what happened in the city in the aftermath of that war. Now, obviously, guys, you're going to be able to traverse the world in a multitude of ways, whether it's by a vehicle. You know, there's just a lot of different ways that you're going to be able to traverse this world, it looks like. Now, we're not going to know for sure until we actually get our hands-on impressions, actually playing this game hands-on. But in the meantime, guys, this is looking really, really nice. Who and what is making a cameo in Cyberpunk 2077? It all began with Keanu Reeves appearing at E3 in 2019, and the cameos have barely slowed since. CD Projekt Red is cramming lots of real-life people and vehicles into Night City, so here's a handy list of your pre-discovered Easter eggs. Keanu Reeves, of course, will be, you know, playing Johnny Silverhand. Grimes will be playing the pop star frontwoman. Mike Pondsmith, creator of the Cyberpunk 2020 tabletop game, is making an appearance. Elon Musk's weird Cybertruck might be in the game, and a Reaver car, homage to Mad Max Fury Road, will hit the streets. Will there be multiplayer? This is one that people are very interested about. Yes, CD Projekt Red officially confirmed that Cyberpunk 2077 will have multiplayer, but the mode won't be introduced until all the free DLC is out the door. This is no surprise, as multiplayer has been teased as a possibility for years now. We first heard about multiplayer features back in 2013, but CD Projekt Red clearly knew the word could agitate its fans. It will be a story-based RPG experience with amazing single-player playthroughs, reassured managing director Adam Badowski in a 2013 talk with Eurogamer, but we're going to add multiplayer features. And it's very smart, guys. Adding multiplayer is going to bring you back to the game. After you're done playing those DLC and everything of that sort, you'll come back to the game to play multiplayer, and that's what's going to keep you there. Now, do I think it should be included at launch? Absolutely, because it's going to keep people there who are playing it. A lot of people may play the single player story and go on to other games and never come back to CD or come back to Cyberpunk. So I think that it would be smart to have it right when the game launches, kind of like with The Last of Us Part 2. They didn't do that either, and I think that's going to really hurt when the multiplayer does come out, but maybe I'm wrong. Are there going to be microtransactions? Well, not in the single player part of the game anyway. The E3 2018 trailer contains a little Easter egg on the topic. However, Cyberpunk 2077 will have microtransactions in the multiplayer, part of the game that's coming after the single-player launch. Can you mod Cyberpunk 2077? We have no plans to share at the moment, CD Projekt Global Community Lead Marcin Mamet said in a Cyberpunk forum thread dedicated to the topic of modding. Obviously, we would love to support the modding community in the future, but for the time being, we want to focus on releasing the game first. So, of course, guys, there has always been talk of crunch, that being when, before a game comes out, the developers are, putting in incredible amounts of hours into the game, which is kind of similar to that of what happens in the film industry as well. They put in tons of hours before the movie comes out, and that's just kind of what happens. You put in like a lot of work, a lot of time before it comes out. But there's a lot of people that are stating that their crunch is not a good thing, obviously, for many of the people that are working on these games and such. We've already talked about our thoughts on that, guys, but anyway, overall, I mean, this is what we know. This is what we know now about Cyberpunk, and it is still one of my most anticipated games of the year. It's, it was up there with The Last of Us Part 2, up there with Call of Duty, of course, which is now Black Ops Cold War. It's certainly up there. I'm very excited about this title. I think it's going to be great, and I think there's going to be a ton of ways that we can connect with it. It could be something really special. But let me know, guys, in the comment section down below, what do you guys think about Cyberpunk 2077? What are you most excited about? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more Cyberpunk 2077 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.